I've got these language clips there. What you just heard those girls singing in is very Central Asian, very steppes language. This is lower down, 6,000 feet. It's deciduous. The climate is very much like Newcastle. It's cool, wet, that sort of thing. So they're dealing with this American accent all the time. Then to the western deserts, Persian.
Did you produce any content?
No,
No,
not at all. Nothing.
Just the web connection.
It is just straight web. But I'll qualify that in a moment. This is all near the Pakistan border. Now what they're doing over here is they found a website which teaches the English alphabet. And they're trying to sort of, speak out the letters. Then to the really hot tropical central India and coastal India, these are fishing villages. Incidentally, religion-wise now, we've moved from Islam to Christians. These are all Christian villages. Now this is an interesting sequence here of an 8-year-old boy who's telling his elder sister what to do. So this I've noticed many times in the hole in the wall, that the younger children actually know more than the older ones. Then down to South India, to the tip of the peninsula. Almost entirely Hindu now. Sanskrit. I was putting VSAT antennas by then to give broadband access. That's it, that's the tip of the country. In this village, within 30 days, they were on to a live cricket match. A great discussion about Saurav Ganguly. Finally, to the eastern river deltas, the Ganges Delta, which is essentially mud, heat, and rain. Bengali. So that took about 5 years to do, and as you might imagine, the engineering challenges were actually quite considerable. That the solutions for the desert were very different from the solutions for the humidity and so on. So we had to do a lot of things to keep these PCs running.
May I interrupt again?
Yes, please do.
Tell me to shut up if...
No, absolutely.
How long will it take you to set up one now? How long and how much?
30 days, most of which goes in the civil construction, the brickwork, and a total of about $10,000, 5,000 pounds for 3 computers in a brick structure, which I'll show you in a moment. So I won't go into. Okay, let me go to the technology bit. So what we ended up with a design was a low, thin hut, very narrow hut, about the width of 2 people. into the walls of which these computers are embedded. At the top of each computer there is a lid which, when lifted up, is at a height such that if you are over a certain height, you need to bend down in order to see what's going on. In front of the computers is a seating rod which is kept at a distance from the wall, so that if you're over a certain height, your legs would splay if you sat down. The keyboard is covered with a perspex cowl with an opening in it, which is calculated so that small hands go in more easily than big hands do. So without having to say anything, it is obvious that it's meant for children. Then inside, we had to do everything with air. So by blowing, what I learned was that by blowing air at certain parts of a motherboard, you can keep both humidity and temperature under control, and considerably enhance the life of the PC. We had web cameras. I had an environment monitoring system there which would monitor the temperature and the humidity level inside the room and feed it back to Delhi over a website. A web camera, and then 4 hours of electrical storage, because usually the power is very erratic in these villages. So I had to store the power, recondition it, and then apply it to the computers. And VSAT for connectivity, which I will not recommend because it's very expensive and terribly ineffective. But I could find no solution to that. We had 3 pieces of software on each machine: a remote monitoring system, which can tell me the history of what's happening on each machine; a safe desktop system that if the children accidentally delete things, the system senses its state of disrepair and rolls back to a certain point where everything was fine; a piece of hardware which looks for repetitive currents inside the hard disk and then takes a decision whether the PC is hanging or not, and if it is, then reboots the system. Because remember, the children don't have access to the reset button at the back. So so we call that the anti-hang. So these machines never hang, they boot up when they hang. We had cameras, microphones, light sensors, heat sensors, humidity sensors, and software sensors, producing a complete log of what happens on each machine. I could also see, with a small time lag, what was happening on the screen of each of these computers anywhere, and these were in 23 different villages. This particular image is very interesting. This is a fairly remote village somewhere down south, where a little girl had come and figured out what was the software used for the web camera and was using that to take photographs of herself in various postures and so on. But it was in those days kind of incredible to think that this was happening by itself.